Please welcome Lacy. Your applause.
I'm all good. Thank you. Everybody settled? Not quite. Okay. Some last people leaving. Good start. Okay, how are you all doing? Oh, you enjoying the conference? Nice. Okay. I'm talking about how to launch ideas in 30 days. Obviously, you're not going to launch your idea in exactly 30 days, but in a short time frame. I actually do have to explain that sometimes because people ask me that question. Okay. So who am I? Why am I here anyway? I'm Lasse. This is my email address in case you want to contact me. I'm also going to send around the presentation later in the Telegram channel if you're in there, and there's going to be another slide with my email address on it. I was born as a nerd, basically came out with glasses, and then gradually I changed to being one of those stupid business people. I did an eye laser surgery, I got rid of my glasses. I founded an open source project, and from then it took more and more time that I had to not code, to review code, and then I started founding startups. I founded several startups. Some of them failed glamorously, and I've learned a lot of stuff during all those failures. And now I'm mostly working on ViperDev, which is a startup which helps other startups, ironically, to create their product really fast. I would walk if I was dead. I'm a zombie. we can try. Thank you. So I have several failed startups, and now ViperDev.io is going pretty well. We are 20 people by now. We have never worked with investors because we have clients who like us. And I just want to share some of the insights that I have learned, especially at those failed ones, because that's in the end, I would say I failed my way to success. And that's sort of what I actually recommend other people as well, at least when it comes to some things. So the truth is about startups, almost all the startups fail. And now I want to do a quick voting. What do you think is actually the main reasons why startups fail? Please pull out your phone now. Now? Yes? Good. Then you type menti.com, and then you type in that number, and then you vote on whatever answer you think is most likely. No, market need is a leader, running out of cash, getting outcompeted is coming in. Okay, you have 15 seconds left to vote. Three, two, one. Thank you. And you are right. The most important reason why startups fail is the missing market need. It's that people build something that actually nobody needs or wants. It's somehow sad, but it's the truth. And so this is a survey where startups were asked, what is the reason why you failed? And it's a multiple choice survey, so the numbers are actually in total more than 100%. Don't worry about that, that is okay. Yeah, the team is also a big factor, and getting outcompeted, not so much. People are important. So why is this guy talking about startups? We're at a software developer conference. We want to write some code. This principle applies to a lot of things in everyday life. It also applies to when I think back of like my open source work that I did. A lot of stuff that I did was never used. I've spent a lot of time writing a lot of code that actually nobody used, and that is just a shame, and that is sad. And we can learn a lot from the startup, from the whole area of startups. There's a lot of hype going on there, but also there's lots of truths on there. And we as software developers, we have lots of ideas. We have the ability to realize them. And now it's just the matter of figuring out which idea is actually worth realizing and then doing something. And that is why I think this is relevant here. So let me quickly introduce you to the concept of an MVP. An MVP is something that is not the most valuable player. You use it to identify if people actually need what you're building. It's a minimum viable product. So it's minimal in the way that it's a low commitment. You have very little work or very little money that you spend. It barely works, but it works. So it's like the minimal thing that just about works, and it solves the problem that you actually have in mind. So it's like the lowest thing, the smallest thing that I can do in order to solve the problem that I'm approaching. And that might actually be, in many cases, not even software or something else. But I'm building an MVP to validate if people need what I want to do. So how do I figure out what this MVP is? I have to focus on the problem that I want to solve. Anyone has an idea that he's thinking about since quite a while that he wants to realize? Anyone? Yes, there. Can you tell us about it? No? Okay. No other idea. Uncreative people today. I think everybody's just too shy. Okay. Then we're going to go without an example. I'm going to have an example later, though. So we have to think about what is the actual problem, what is causing people pain, and then we have to focus on it. And then we have to look for alternatives. And that is a super hard thing that most people do too late. Because when you have figured out what you actually want to solve, and if you then figure out like, okay, I want to solve this by building this great thing, and then you go on the lookout for what is already out there, you're always thinking about, oh, this is a possibility. Oh, yeah, but actually my thing is a little bit better because, and you start rectifying why you need to build this thing because you're already in love with it. So it is really crucial to find alternatives and try to solve the problem without building anything at first, because that is what everyone will do. People will research alternatives. People will research tools and options that they can do, including just doing things manually. And they will weigh whatever you build against what they've built. And that applies to startups, that applies to new open source projects, that applies to existing open source projects, etc., etc. So here is a tool that helps evaluating business models. And not everything of that is completely relevant here, because we're not necessarily into building a full business model. But you start with the problem. You look at the competition. What are the customers comparing this with? And then you start looking at your solution. And from those three things, it is inherently clear what makes it unique. And if you do this right, you will not need to think about how are you different. You will immediately see it if you do it in that order. So that, for example, is one tool that I really like when it comes to writing down business models. It's really, really simple. It focuses on creating value and not on answering questions about a business that I can't usually answer when I just have an idea. This is on that domain. It's also going to be in the summary in case you want to check that out later. So assuming we have found a problem, there's no possible solution for it, I need to start developing it. I'm about to start an open source project, I'm about to start a pet project or maybe a startup. And in this position again, we need to hold back a little bit because usually we want to build a huge landscape of things. We want to build a suite that does like everything and solves the problem in the best possible way. The great thing about what we just did is we've identified what's unique about this little thing that we're building. And if we're building that unique thing, then it doesn't matter how badly usable it is. It doesn't matter that we are ashamed of it. It matters that it works. So the question that we can ask at that point is, what is the actual things that I do need to solve the problem? The Airbnb MVP was a static website with some pictures of those people's homes, and then there was a phone number, and then people just called them. That was totally fine, right? They did not invest 50,000 euros or like months and months of coding into building a huge website where people could put stuff in. They just built a static thing. And those kinds of cheats help you test if people actually want what you're building. So yeah, sorting those things, and then you would basically start implementing the must-have features. Eventually, as you grow, you should obviously go for the should-have features, and especially if you then at a later point have competition, you also have to look at the can-have features, and the shouldn't-have is an interesting point because this is a limitation of scope, and it helps you just thinking, okay, this is where I want to go. But there's a space that is already done that is already done by my competitors, that is already done by some other solutions. We've just had a nice talk on Jupyter Notebook, where one of the key messages was, don't use a Jupyter Notebook for something that it does not intend to be used for. And the shouldn't have part is very important for you as the creator of a thing to keep in mind. And at some point, obviously, in business conferences, this is a big point. I think in this one it is not, because we do like stop talking and start coding. Business people don't. We have had a client who has actually talked for like a full year about this in full board meetings. Like every single person of the board was there. We waited 2 months for the next meeting every time, and then they actually went like, okay, let's start. We want it yesterday. Anyway, business people. So there's a last step that is oftentimes forgotten. We remember what we want to do with this MVPs. We want to solve that problem, yes, but we also want to see if people are actually picking up and using it, if people are able to commit something for using this. So we have to collect commitments. And that can be like, okay, every beta user pays me a sum of money. That can also be every user pays by giving me his email address, or some sort of commitment. You have to make sure that it's not completely effortless for your user to actually be using your thing. And what happens if you do that is, you know that your users are not using it because they know you and because they like you, but they actually have to commit something, they have to do something. And that is a whole different thing that you're talking about with them. Okay. Key takeaways about that thing. Let's try this interactive thing again. What have you taken away about the MVP? Is there anything specific that you found interesting? Is there any open questions that you still want to have answered? We have the same thing. You open the website, you type in the code, and then you just let me know there so we can crowdsource some ideas and go on with there. Testing back. Get it working ASAP. Where and how do you collect feedback on your product? So on this thing, where and how do you collect feedback on your product? That is a lot like dependent on what you do and how you interact with your users. I'm actually going to show you a real life example for this. In the end of this presentation, I'm also going to test a business model of mine on you, and I'm going to send you a form, and you will have to commit something. And either you commit because you like the idea, or you don't. And if you don't commit, then I will know that this thing that we are building is not valuable to you. And that can be as simple as a Google form. Feedback. It can be talking to your users. It can be qualitatively. There's tons of different ways of getting feedback. How do you get your users to know about and use your product? That is a story that you basically start post-MVP. This MVP, minimum viable product, is like, again, for market validation. And then you, when you then identify, okay, users are willing to commit something for it, they have given something, then you can go the next step. And then you can say, okay, I'm going to get on the market, or I'm going to publicize this. And you got to either build sales or build marketing, depending on what kind of thing you're building. It depends a whole lot. If that person which has written this question wants more information, we are also going to have a round of questions later. So, where is this actually? This is, for example, an MVP that we've built. And this is an MVP for a marketing strategy. We have, it was just an idea that like last week, Thursday, one of our guys came to me and he was like, hey, it would be nice to have like some marketing strategy related to the talk, like let's Viperate, let's bring a new business model on the street and do it fast. And like, let's see how people react to this. And we could have, like, that is what a traditional company or many people would have done, or normally, like, we could have, like, worked with our marketing team, and then we would, like, design a great website with, like, 5 different sub-pages explaining exactly what, like, how this relates to us, etc., etc. But what we did was we sat together, we made a postcard with this, really quick. Like, this took us 2 hours to design, and then we just sent that postcard to our poor intern, and the poor intern had to implement this as a website, which she did within very, very few hours as well. And we bought the domain, we put it online, and next day everything was ready. And a couple of days later, the postcards arrived. And we didn't know yet how well this performs, but we've gotten some good feedback on it yet. And we will, now the commitment is, what we we measure here is hits on the website. We are giving out postcards. We We have letsviper.it as the domain, and we're just counting hits on that website. And then we'll see like how well does this marketing strategy perform? Is this worth pursuing? Okay, so here is the summary from my side about the key takeaways. Focus on the problem, identify exactly what you actually want to solve. You can use the product field for this. You can just Google product field, or you can use that domain. You have to focus on the first step, and you can assume that, like, okay, I'm assuming nobody will ever use this. How will I build this? This is not built for usage, it's built for market validation. So the goal is learning. It's also not necessarily revenue. Also, as a startup, you can like go out. You can build a product that you don't monetize. You can just leave out the whole like letting your users pay for it. And don't get tempted to launch perfect. Barely solve the problem, and then again, consider not automating parts. Do some things by humans. Answer calls instead of making the whole thing digital. It does not have to be scalable, fully automated. It does not have to generate revenue. I think I would like to go for questions next, because I think we're going to have some questions.
Okay, first round of applause, please. It's a good traditional. And next, questions. You can use English, Russian, Japanese. No, not Japanese, please.
Okay, so, at first, thanks for your talk. This amusing talk. And my question is about ideas, generating ideas. Because yes, when you already failed once, twice, or more, you have some experience, but it's really difficult sometimes to find any new ideas that you can't even be rather new on market. So maybe you have some advice, or maybe something that can trigger this ideas generation.
Okay, so the question is, how can I trigger new ideas? How can I generate new ideas that then actually can be successful? I have talked to a lot of founders, and I have like there is a sort of trend that I see. There is lots of university students who are like coming out of university and they're like, okay, I want to found a startup. I studied like economy, and now I want to found a startup. I'm going to be the super rich founder, and everything is going to be super great. That vision is generally not what you should go for if you found a startup. A startup is a shitload of work. You're working a lot of over hours. You will be sleeping bad if you just hire enough people, because you will wake up in the middle of the night thinking, shit, can I pay all the salaries? This whole like responsibility of like many people, this really knocks me out at times. There is all those students at the university, and like if you approach this with, okay, I'm looking for an idea, you're usually just finding some, because like you want to find some ideas, but you're not finding problems. This is this whole thing of you're looking for solutions, but you're not finding problems. It's because you're not looking for it. So this problem part is super, super important, because that means that all those students who are looking for solutions, they find something, and whenever they find a competitor, they say, oh, yeah, but this is a little bit different, so this is going to be super successful. And then in the end, they fail. The best founders are usually the ones coming from the industry. Those are the people who have been working in the industry and who have seen that there is a problem. And then they were just so going nuts about that problem that they were like, okay, shit, there should be a solution. I've researched what competitors, like, not competitors, but I've researched what things there are for solving this problem. I've tried solving it by hand. I've tried like orchestrating 5 different tools, but still this problem sucks. And now I'm going to build a solution. So those are the ideas that are usually really, really good. And then if like you get some input from some coaches, then you can actually turn this idea into something that works. And if you're then open about the feedback that you get with your MVP, if you're open about all the feedback that you get from your clients, from all the people around you, usually it is best to like just talk as openly as you can about like all ideas that you have. See what feedback you get, because if you don't, you're not getting any feedback, and that feedback is so super critical. I can't read that, by the way.
That was really detailed answer. I'm kind of afraid of next question. Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. I wanted to ask, do coaches really help, or is that just a waste of money?
It depends a lot on the coach. So what I see is that certified coaches are not helpful, because certified coaches are usually full-time coaches, which means their job is coaching and not actually building businesses. So they usually don't have any experience. We have worked with some coaches, and usually, so the best coaching that we had was actually a sales consultant, and he came in and he worked with us, and he had some experience of building a sales team of more than 100 people. So he had the actual experience. We hired him, so we paid him actual money. And he came in, and with us, he built the whole sales pipeline. He helped me hire a salesperson, hire the right salesperson. Then he helped me actually training that person. And during that time, he also took over parts of that job. So those people who are actually getting in, becoming even part of your business for a while, that was like the most positive experience for me. But even just, you know, meeting up with some people who have founded some things, who have built some bigger projects, just talking to them and getting a hang of like, what kind of problems are they thinking about? What do they think about that idea? And what do they honestly think about their idea? Like, when we look at this feedback, this is all nice, but this is not helping me, right? This is not helping. Or like, obviously it's helping me emotionally, like it makes me happy, but it's not helping me delivering a better talk next time. So if you actually want to give me useful feedback, you better write something negative in there.
They never give negative feedback.
It's always constructive. Yeah, I know.
Hello, thank you for your presentation. I have a question. How to launch your idea within 30 days when you have full-time work and wife with daughter at home?
Sorry, come again. How large am I?
How to launch your idea within 30 days when you have full-time work and wife with daughter at home?
How large is the business today? Is that the...
No.
Sorry.
If you are working full-time,
Yes.
how can you launch some part-time business within 30 days?
Oh,
Isn't full-time...
Okay, yeah. Full time.
Yes, full-time.
There is more than full time. I have a girlfriend that I live together with. I also have some free time. I'm trying to respect my weekends. That is something that I've had to learn. I am working full-time on helping other startups realize their business model. So what our company actually does is, like, my job is helping startups to grow their businesses, to find out what their MVP is, and then to build it with them. So that way I get into contact a lot with founders. I am also considering here and there to like be an actual co-founder for some startups. Very rarely though. Usually only if like the idea is obviously like really good, and if I know that person, because the team is important. You have to understand each other if you do something like this, right? I mean, founding a business together it's like a marriage. It's a really long-lasting partnership, and you're gonna sit on each other for like days and days and days, and you're gonna work over hours together, and you're gonna be in that stupid office for quite a while. So that is something very, very carefully to be selected.
Thank you.
Did that answer it? Okay, cool.
Thank you for the talk.
Microphone close.
Is it better?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So, thank you for the talk. It's really useful for technical people to have a little bit of business mindset. So, my question is the following. There's a metaphor of tutorial that teach you how to draw an owl. It's normally a two-steps process. First, you draw two circles, and then the whole owl. So the step of building an MVP is very much like two circles. When the feedback shows it's okay, it's worth working on that. What's your vision of the right and the wrong ways to carry on
After
business development? Yeah.
after an MVP.
Yes.
As a business, you're talking as a business, not as an open source project right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So as a business, you got to focus on sales. There is a lot of hype about investors and getting lots of cash. The truth is, you don't want that. If you can avoid it, avoid it. In Germany, I don't know how it is like in other countries. In Germany, we have some government grants that can be used for transferring, especially transferring knowledge from university to businesses and like productionizing things. Those grants are very useful. There is a very small investor scene. People do invest, but the thing about investors is investors find a lot of things not really interesting. Like if they don't see that in the end, the potential of that business is not at least like 5 billion or something. You really have to go into the billions, then it's just not at all interesting for them. So you got to get your money somewhere, right? And the best source of money is the clients. So you have to focus incredibly hard on getting revenue from clients, and that means building a sales team first, and converting all those people that you know personally, ideally, because those are the easiest to convert. If you have some initial clients and you like exhausted your personal network, you can start structured, maybe cold calling companies. It's like super classical and it sounds like super boring, and it is, but it is a method that actually works. Is this
No.
answered?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
One second.
But focus hard on sales. You gotta do some sales no matter what you do, and try avoiding investors.
Thank you.
How to find investments if I hate rich people? I'm the wrong person to ask for investments. Like I have been using government grants in Germany. I have never actually been working with investors myself. I like the logo question. Can I answer that? The ViperDev logo is actually not intentionally similar to the Anaconda logo, but ViperDev is actually ViperDev because I was sitting at the government office and this stupid sheet wanted me to give it a name, and I was absolutely unprepared for that. So I had to figure out a name, and I had a call with my friend, and we looked up domains, and we're like, okay, we're doing development in Python, and then we found ViperDev, and we were like, okay, our open source project was Koala, and everybody loved that sweet koala, so we're going to use an animal. And that way ViperDev came to place. I'm going to check out the Anaconda logo, though. Apparently there is a similarity, yeah.
There are so many logos around that whatever you pick.
Especially if you're like around the Python space, right?
Any combination of pixels 32 up to 32 is already taken. Okay, we have a few more minutes. After that, raffle. After that, beer. Any questions, please?
I would say one last question, and then I have like two small things that I want to do. One, because I think it's missing from your program.
I am already afraid.
Yes, you should be.
Yes, I am. Okay. Questions, questions, questions. No questions. Then first, round of applause, please.